Monday again, podcast episode 3 today. A little bit of a different setup. We got Vlad behind the camera this time. Well, behind the settings and the switches and stuff. So a bit of a third person perspective as well. Today we're going to be chit-chatting some cool stuff about business and growth and stuff. One of my mentors for sure, as of like the last, few years that I've looked up to a lot with a lot of the breaking the mold and getting out of your comfort zone. His name's Issac. Again, what do you go by? What do people call you?
Trendy.
Trendsetter,
yeah.
So what was the reason of like you starting anything with Trendsetter? Like,
I don't know. I think it was just like, because I work in construction. So like everybody is always like J&I, AB. And I was like, okay, how can I be different?
Right.
And I was like, what was more different than setting the trendsetter? Right. So that's kind of where it stuck. And I just kind of went with it. And as soon as I started doing jobs, people were like, hey, you know what? The name is kind of what got me to hire you, because everybody has, again, the J&I, AB, whatever you want to call it, dueñas.
It's like cliche.
Yeah. It's really generic.
Yeah.
I don't want to diss on anybody. It's a little generic, yeah. So for them, it was like everybody here is Hispanic. It's always some Hispanic last name. It's always initials. And for me, it's kind of what got it rolling was the fact that it was a more... like it was actual brand name. It wasn't just initials.
Right.
You know?
And it's funny because like when we met, you were doing like some of the car videos and stuff. I also started doing some car videos and stuff. And I thought that's what you did because your page started as like Trendsetter. And was it just Trendsetter?
Well, it was Trendsetter Garage because I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the whole thing wasn't even supposed to be anything videos. It was just my cars, right? Because I've always built cars. I've always fixed up cars. So it was supposed to be just for my cars. And then, I bought a camera. I started doing all my own videos and people started messaging me like, hey, can you do a video for me?
Yeah.
And from there, it just kind of became like, I'll do a video shoot. And it just picked up traction and people kept messaging me.
And it got overwhelming, right?
Yeah, it was. And I remember like the first times I was like nervous as fuck trying to go out there and be like, I don't even know what settings to use. I just did this twice. And then it just became like a little more natural. I learned my gimbal, I learned my camera settings, f-stops, all that stuff. And then I kind of it just stuck. The name just stuck because I never changed it.
Yeah, because that actually takes me like way back. Because like one of the homies was like, oh yeah, trendy. And like now it just sticks. Like every time I introduce someone, I talked to Vlad and I was like, oh yeah, let's hit up trendy or whatever.
I'm gonna be honest, he's never brought you up ever.
Shut the fuck up, bro. It's always like, hey, is there something new going on? I'm always like, let me ask Trendy real quick. Or like, oh, yeah, you just need to talk to Trendy and let him know, see what's up, what he thinks. So actually, and the reason why I bring up like the whole mentorship thing in the very beginning is because the other day that my keys got locked,
right?
Well, that I lost my keys at the bar, I was calling homies to see if they could like give me a tow or whatever. And like the only reason I was calling you or texting you was because, not because I needed your help or anything like that, but I was like, what would you do?
I would just break that shit.
No, but the car was open. Like the car was open. Like my keys were just gone. Like, I don't know. I was like, should I tow it, bro? What are you doing? Do you think I should leave? Like the car has a kill switch. Should I leave the car?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean.
Like, again, that was just me kind of like looking for some kind of advice. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I've kind of like been able to stick around everything that you're doing and stuff is because it's always been you pushing me to try to like do something else, bro, like switch it up or whatever. And when you were telling me like I do construction, I was like, what the fuck? Like you're actually pretty good at pictures and stuff and car videos, but it wasn't ever really your bread and butter. You just got good at it. And like one of the things you always like told me was like just learn something and get good at it, and like that you know a lot of shit. Like why do you go based off of like what do you think is a good idea to know a little bit of everything, like for real?
It's just it helps in every situation, So like me, it started with the construction. That's what I started when I was 18. I got my house when I was 18, and it just was to pay the bills. And I realized like the more you learn, the more you get paid, right? And it just kind of became something where I started my business at 24. I started making good money, and then that's what opened up the doors to like other things. I would fix up my cars, and then I want to take pictures of them. I messaged somebody, I didn't like their style, so I was like, what if I just learned it myself? Right? I just go and I bought like a Sony A7S II, which is not even a photo camera. It's a video camera. And I was like, let me take some pictures. And then you kind of just go down the rabbit hole of like, why does this picture blurry background? And why is this one so clear? And it just kind of, for me, it's, how can I say it? It saves me a lot of time, right? Because having to set up with somebody, get with their schedule, do all their stuff, it saves me a lot of time. And for me, pretty much like everything that I do is really just to save me time, whether I'm doing something at my house, doing something on my car, doing something for fun. Like it's always really like, how is it most efficient?
Right.
Right. And if I do it myself, I know I'm gonna do the best job I can. And that's kind of why I just try to keep learning and growing. And I mean, a lot of stuff, it really is like, it kind of comes from when you get so good at something, like with my construction stuff, you kind of become, I don't want to say like delusional, but you believe you could do anything at that level.
Yeah.
Right. So if I could do something at the level where people are paying so much money to do it, then what's so hard about taking photos? What's so hard about fixing up cars? What's so hard about doing anything?
Like if somebody can do it, if I know this idiot that can do it, why can't I do it?
Right, yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Yeah, and it's not like an ego thing, you know,
Right.
but it's more of like, again, if you could, and it's not just construction, right? If you're so good at video, that's why I always tell you to do something, because if you're so good at videos, you could be good at something else, whether it be a business or whether it be fucking anything. Right. You could start construction. And if you have the mindset of getting good at one thing, you get good at anything.
Right.
Right. And that's just the way I see things. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'm fucking good at everything. It's just a little bit like, I think it might be delusion or it might be confidence, arrogance. I don't know.
Yeah,
what it is.
I don't know, because like I feel very similar to like with my brother. He's like, if anything you can do, I could probably do better.
Right.
You know, and like it does. Like, sure, obviously there's like those top 1% that are the best in the world, but in the general public, in the general sense, it's like I can probably do it better. And like my brother's told me that too. Like not to feed my own ego, but it's like, yeah, dude, like a lot of shit that you do is pretty good, and like he just doesn't always tell me just to like keep me humble too, because I can, you know, sometimes I get a little over my head with that kind of shit, but like it's true. Like that's one of the things that I've noticed from you from like the very beginning. It's like, oh shit, like you can actually do that. And one of the things that really stuck to me is when you were like, I don't remember what I was trying to figure out. I was like, I think I was trying to do like decals or some shit like that. I don't know. Right. And I was like, dude, I'm really tight on like, I think it was like I can't fucking do it right now. So and he was just like, just pay someone to do it.
Right.
And I was like, you're like, if your money's worth more than your time.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, you're right. It's not like it shouldn't be, at least in this scenario. It's like interesting as fuck. So going back to like what you do with like the construction and shit, like you've told me a bit like how it started off, but like I remember it was, I mean, obviously a bit of a struggle, right? Like you had to start from zero. Like what you do to decide like, fuck it, dude, I have to like start this business or else like sink. And how did you get like your first like contract? Because that's a big deal. Like contracts are a big deal. It's not just like, for example, like us when we did like the home mall thing, like the fact that we signed our first contract, like it felt like a big deal to me, because it's like, oh shit, there's a piece of paper that's telling me I gotta do this, you know? So how was that for you? Like,
it was really just, first it was out of necessity, right? The necessity that my brother had just bought a house. I was still in high school, and we had just moved out. I was gonna live with him, and then he like a month before I graduated high school, he crashed on his motorcycle. So he broke his neck, all kinds of injuries. He paralyzed his left arm. He couldn't work. And at that point, it was like, either you try to take it over or we just foreclose the house. Yeah. I mean, I was 17. I had no idea, right? I had worked at like Dairy Queen. You know, I would never even thought of a mortgage, but I was like, you know what? I could try. Yeah. I could try. And I went to go work in flooring. That's what he did. And it was like $300 a week. It was trash pay, but it was just enough to pay for the house. And I kind of just decided, like, you know what? Like, if I just work hard enough and I ask for overtime and I do all these things, like, maybe I could pay for my house and have a little bit of money left over. Yeah. You know? And then that kind of turned into, like, I got a little stagnant, you know? I'm not going to lie. Once I got my house and we were partying a lot, doing a lot of stuff, I had some money for that. And it was fun. You know, then I met my girl. And I met her when I was 19. And she moved in when she was, like, 21. We lived together. And then when she got pregnant, that's when it was a big change. You didn't get pregnant. You got pregnant. When I got pregnant, that's when it was like, it's like a switch flipped in my head. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, like, okay, we got enough to live. We got enough to eat. But like, I mean, I grew up from a rough background, right? I grew up real poor, you know? So for me, it was like, do I want my kids to have the life that I had? You know, and I'm not knocking on my parents, because I had both parents and it was a big thing right back then. Your parents get divorced.
I mean, still to this day. Like,
yeah, it's still a big thing, right? So like, and they gave me a lot of love, and that's what like, we already had that though, right? But what I wanted was be like, okay, I want that, and then I want them to have like a better life than I had. A nice house, a nice car to be driven around it. Because I mean, we had like cars from auction. They were like 2 different colors. We were borrowing cars from our family, and that's really what kind of kicked me into that second gear of like, okay, we have to live now. We need to like live, right? Yeah, to enjoy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, you could pay the bills, and that's fine. And it really just started with that. And the first contract was a nightmare. It really was a nightmare. Like, I remember I was working. I quit my job, you know, real hot shit. Like, oh, I got my business name now. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go and get some work. And then I went and applied at every builder in the city.
Yeah.
And I mean, they knew my boss because, like, I mean, he was really big in the construction scene then. And I was like, oh, I'll just tell him I work for this guy and they'll give me some work. And it didn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like, when I got my first contract, I had to wait like a month and a half. And I was bugging them every day,
Yeah.
like calling, showing up to job sites. Like, hey, can I talk to the foreman? Can I talk to the general construction manager? Talking to everybody. And it kind of just like at the end, they were like, I need to stop bitching, you know? Give them one, you know, just give them one. And I knew like in myself, I was like, okay, I got to show on this one that I could handle like plenty.
Yeah.
Right. And sure enough, I mean, I went to the first house I did and it was like in and out, 2-3 hours, we were done. And they couldn't believe it. They're like, damn, this kid's good.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but at that time I was 24. So they probably saw me. I mean, I'm over there applying with like 50-year-olds, you know, 45-year-olds, and I'm 24. They saw me like as a kid.
And how how did that hinder your like place in the business? Because like you said, you're just 24-year-old kid and you got all these like older guys. Like, did you ever perceive like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything or anything
Yeah,
like that?
all the time, man. I got all the time where it was people telling me like, hey, who was your dad?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck? Is like, my dad's never done this shit a day in his life.
Yeah.
Right? And always like, hey, your dad gave you this company? I'm like, no, bro, like I did it on my own. Like, and I get it, right? I'm 24. It's
Yeah.
not really a common thing. But after that, it was kind of like, you just had to work, bro. You had to work. I remember being the first person at the job site before the sun was up and the last person to leave when the
Yeah.
sun was down. And it was a lot of work. It was
Mhm.
tough, you know. And the first year was like my daughter was born. Like I didn't see her first steps. I didn't see her first words. I didn't see any of that stuff, right? So it was like a lot of sacrifice. But then once I got to the point where like it was consistent work, they gave me 2, 3, 4 houses a week.
Right.
I started bringing people on, like, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm looking for helpers, you know, or I'm looking for an installer. I'm looking for whatever. And then people just started coming. You know,
Yeah.
people started coming. I started making a little more money. And then I got with my business partner, which is a longtime friend, like a childhood friend. And then we just started growing that. And it was like we landed contracts with like Holiday Inn, places in Odessa.
Big shit. Big
Yeah,
shit.
bigger stuff. And it just kind of just kept evolving, you know, it just kept evolving. And it got to a point where like, you know, and I say like, not like in a showing off way, right? But it went from like, I started making $300 a week. And sometimes we would go work a weekend and we would leave each with like 20 grand.
Right.
Right. So it was like, it was like this big, you can't even believe that it's actually happening. Right. Yeah. It was like a big, especially for us, because me and my buddy, we both grew up in the same circumstances.
Yeah.
We're both broke. And I think that kind of fuels you a little bit too.
Right.
Not having anything. Like, what do you got to lose?
Right.
You don't have
Exactly.
shit, right? Like,
Exactly.
so it just kind of kept going and going and going. And then just recently, I mean, maybe like 2 years ago when the whole housing market was crashing, it just fucking crashed.
Yeah. Right. And it's like you don't really. There's no telling because it just from one day to the next. Like, there's what you like out of work or what? Like,
That was it. Yeah. It was like, well, it started off real
slow.
Mhm.
Like eventually, oh, this might get like
Yeah.
gotta slowly prepare.
Yeah, it started off where like, you know, you're seeing the neighborhoods you're working in, right? They're new construction, and you know, like, okay, I'm on this street, and there's 20 houses.
Mhm.
Those are my 20 houses. Those 20 turn to 10,
Oh
and then
shit.
5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, I mean, I still have overhead. I have employees. I have materials. I have gas, trailer. And then I was like, then there's nothing,
Yeah.
you know. And it kind of got to a point where like my brothers were out there in Dallas, and they've been telling me for years, like, hey, come to
Mhm.
Dallas. And I was like, when the time's right, you know. And then there wasn't shit. Like, fuck, the time's probably right. Yeah.
And I was about to get to that. It's like, what made you decide like I'm gonna go out to Dallas? Because now you stand in Dallas. Like, actually,
Yeah.
matter of fact, how long ago did you get here? Like right now, as we're speaking, like you
Yeah.
drove today, right?
I'm tired. Yeah, I woke up at 4:30 today.
Dude,
Yeah, and I
fuck,
just
sorry.
got here. Yeah, no, it's all good. But it was just like yeah, I could have waited it out,
Mhm.
and it would have been a couple months,
Right.
and I would have got back on my feet. I mean, I had some good employees. They were like, I wasn't really even working anymore. I just drop stuff off. They do it. I mean, you know Ruben, right? With the
Right.
Yeah,
And
like,
it's crazy because you also like you're very also calculated with making sure that you tell the people you kind of partially believe in they can do something with that information. You're like,
yeah.
you can run along with that. Like, here, let me get you like a pointer or two and like take you under my wing a little bit. And for Ruben, like the whole detailing thing that kind of slowed down a little bit, but like he tried to make that happen. Pretty fucking cool. And sorry, you were continuing. What were you saying?
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying that it was like I wasn't even working, and it was nice, it was nice. And then all of a sudden it was just wasn't.
Right.
So I was like, well, I could wait it out a couple months, or I could just leave and try something else.
Right.
I mean, I had my house already. I had it since 18. I had plenty of equity in it. I'd sell it, pull my money out, go over there, do some stuff.
Had a bunch of cars in his yard that he was going to work on. You got an E36.
That was great. Yeah.
What you had that was just chilling there? You were working on like, I got this tires for this one, and then I got the bumper for that one. They're all just
so much money. Yeah, that's what I regret now. Honestly, like, don't get me wrong, I love cars, but it was like I had the
at the same time, around the period of time like before that, I bought the EG off of you.
Yeah, well, so it was the EG. I had the EK. I had the Integra. I had the E46. I had the E36. I had the E30 in the backyard. I had the Jag.
The Z.
And I had the Z. I had my Jeep. I had my bike. I had my dirt bike. And I had my work truck.
The work truck, dude.
So it was so much money. Yeah. I was dropping money on dumb stuff, And that's one thing I kind of do regret, right? Because, like, not being in a bigger city, you see a lot more opportunity. Here, I was already kind of like, I was capped at like where, it's kind of hard to explain, but like people think like the more employees, the more money you make. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. Right. Like sometimes you get shitty employees and then you lose money. Like
their productivity, etc. Right?
Yeah, not just that, but like.
Yeah, in any business, no matter what you look at, your biggest expense is going to be payroll, like more than anything, because like a lot of people don't understand when you got to pay someone, that's going to be your biggest bill.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Even on like my slow times, it was like, okay, I got to make like 5,000 for my employees, at least another 1,000 for materials, another $500 for gas and whatever maintenance stuff it needs. And then after that money, then that's my money.
Right. And then because you got to sacrifice whatever you're doing so that make sure your employees get paid, right? Like,
right. Yeah, exactly. It's not every week is a paycheck for you.
Right.
Right. Sometimes you make 20 grand and sometimes you make nothing. So like the 20 grand weeks, you have to put it towards the nothing weeks. Yeah. And that's one thing that it's tough, man. When you're hiring people think you just got deep pockets because like you have a company, and it's not true. Sometimes like I say, there'll be days where like my bank account is like comfortable. And then some days where I'm like, fuck, like my guys are getting paid. But what am I going to do?
Yeah, right.
And that's the thing too. But you just got to keep pushing it. You got to keep pushing it and risking it. Because if not, I mean, even risk in the first place, you'll never have shit.
Exactly.
Right. That's the way I see it.
Right.
And not be scared of doing anything. I mean, at the end of the day, like right now with the rap thing that I'm doing, like.
Right. And I was about to jump to that. Like you have this whole thing going on. You move out to Dallas. You get some like work out there as well. And then you call me from like one day to the next. Hey, I'm starting this rap thing. I was like, what do you mean?
Give me a logo.
yeah. Like what the fuck? Like I started doing raps, and at first you're over here like I'm just doing it just to figure it out. And then before you know, you have a whole garage. Like
well, yeah. So then I just go stupid. I do that all the time, and it's like a bad habit, right? But it's kind of a good habit. So like, and it started off randomly. Like I bought the Del Sol from OMG, right?
Right.
And I think it was actually in a trade, something. He bought something off of me. I think he bought the STI off of me.
Yeah.
And then he gave me like some money plus the Del Sol.
Right.
And then he threw the roll while he does the raps. He's like, hey, well, just rap it. And I'm like, bitch, I don't know how to do this. He sent it like, just do it. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, it sat there for like 2-3 months. I posted up on Marketplace because I was really just trying to get my money back from the STI.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And I was like, let me try to rap it, right?
It was like a sign like, no, you do it, bitch.
Right, yeah. And then it was like, I rapped it and it came out like shit. It came out so bad. Like, it was so bad. And, like, me being the, like...
perfectionist that you're with your ego is like, how could this dumbass do it?
Right, exactly. Like, how can Leo do it?
Not that you're the dumbass, Leo.
Yeah, no, he's not a dumbass, but I'm saying, like, he's a person. He could do it. Like, I could do it.
I'm more than capable as well,
Right, exactly. And it was, I was so, like, frustrated with myself that I just went on Marketplace. And I was like the first color roll I could find, and I bought it to wrap my Jeep just to try it again. I was like, I got to redeem myself.
Yeah.
And I just tried it, and then the Jeep came out pretty good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've always done a lot of shit. Like I flip bikes in the summer, I flip cars in the winter, and I thought to myself, like, what if I just buy cars with bad paint, and then I wrap them, right?
And then flip them, right?
Yeah, and then flip them. Like, I mean, the paint is the biggest thing people see, right?
Yeah.
And then I did like 5 of my cars, and by that time I was like, hey, you know what, like I'm pretty good at this stuff. I mean, I learned a lot from all the mistakes. So then I did like those 5, 6, 7 cars, and then I told my brothers, like, what if I just throw it up on Marketplace, see what happens?
Yeah.
Right, let me see what happens. Like, is this something that I can maybe make money from? And at first, like, I mean, I'll take a loss at first, right? Just because practice is practice. I'm more focused on the what would you call it, like like the learning experience,
Yeah.
right? And then the money comes. The money always comes.
And then like, let me pause you real quick right there. Another like, dude, there's a lot of shit that you say that I always like remember. Like, you're like, oh, your brain is the most like the thing that doesn't age or something like that. Like, it's like you're always learning. Like, you could be
Right.
on your deathbed. I remember you saying like,
Yeah,
you can be in your deathbed in your last minute and you'll learn something new, regardless of what it is. Like,
Right.
you'll know a new fact that you never knew and you're about
Right.
to die. Like, that shit is insane. Like, the learning thing.
It really is. And it's like everything you could learn and learn, and that's my big thing. I think that's why I've been like with the stuff I have done, it's been successful because I'm more focused on like the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, and I used to stay late. I tell people all the time, like my first job when I was first doing the flooring, I would stay late and I would tell my boss like, hey, you know what? Don't even pay me. Just let me do this. Let me try it.
Yeah.
Let me try it. And then if I do good in the next 2-3 months and I'm doing these every day for you, then give me a little raise. You know, I wasn't asking like, hey, well, I did this shit yesterday, so pay me more. Like, no, I was more focused on learning. And then once the learning, like after the first raise, he just kept giving me raises. It was like, hey, let me do a shower. Let me do this. Let me do that. Not even asking him for more money, just asking him for the work.
The work just to figure it out.
Yeah, just to try it, right? Just to try it and see what I could do. And then I mean, the first times always came out like shit. It's always like shit, you know? Anything you do is always going to look like shit the first time you do it. But then it started getting good and then better and then better. And then it got to a point where like he was paying me like his max. And I was like, I didn't need more or I have to leave. Cause like if I go and work on the weekends, I make more than what I make all week here. And that's when I was kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, I just go back to what I do. I'm so good, 10 people will hire me tomorrow, right? And again, I underestimated how hard it's going to be to get the actual work.
Yeah.
You know, but then it got to the point where the same thing. You get your reputation, people see your work, they see you're good, and then they call you.
Right.
Or they call you. Like if I had people, say if I had 5 employees and this company's slowing down, like to say you see the 30 houses turning to 10, let me make a phone call.
Right.
I'm going to call another foreman that I used to work with, and then he'll give me houses that the company's working for now. And it just kind of becomes like this thing where like it's not necessarily like they're seeing your work anymore. It's your reputation.
Yeah.
Right. Your reputation. And that's the thing I tell you, like right now with the raps, I'm kind of in the same thing. I got in a little bit of funk where I'm like, I got like the first 5 cars in the door and people are like, they're fucking great. I love it. It looks amazing. And I was like, I'm going to charge more.
Right.
And then it just fucking stopped again. You know, I'm like, no, you know what? Let me focus on this. My brother's going to open up a shop. And I was like, you know what? I'll just work out of his shop. So I could charge a little more because I'm working on my garage, right? Yeah, you've seen it. It has like the nice lights and all that shit, but it's not a shop. So then I told my bros, like, hey, when you get your shop, I could charge more there. And that's been like a hassle for him to open up. And he's almost there. He had a couple of things he had to get taken care of, but he's like about to open it. But for now, it was kind of like, you know what? Let me find another way around this. How can I work out of a shop without having to like deal with the overhead? Because like Vlad said, the overhead kills you, man.
Right.
It kills you. It could be, if it's like you're starting a company and you were too ambitious, it'll kill you. Like in a month, right? It's not even like, it won't take a year, it won't take 6 months. It'll be a month. It'll sink. It'll sink. So I ended up getting in contact with people that had shops, and I was like, hey, you know what? Like I could work at your shop. I could charge you a commission. They're trying to get me for hourly, but like I'm not gonna do hourly, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up working a deal with this guy. His main guy had just left, and I was like, you know what? Like I'll just pay me commission. Every car I do, pay me a certain amount. And you know, he liked me. He sees I'm a businessman too, right? So he's like, hey, you know what? Like if you could run my shop, then you could run my shop. I'll pay you. Just cut me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if I wouldn't have messaged them, if I wouldn't have gone and showed up, if I wouldn't have taken all these risks, right? Sometimes it could be a little embarrassing. People tell you to fuck off.
Right.
And it's fine.
But that's the worst. Like that's the worst it's gonna get to.
Yeah, that's the worst it's gonna get. Like say I don't got much of an ego. Like, hey man, have a nice day. I appreciate your time. Yeah, it's fine. Like I'll fuck off, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna happen 9 times out of 10, but that 10th one is where
it's the one that matters. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why I tell you, like anything that you do, whether it's learning something, trying something, like you're gonna lose some money. You know, everybody loses money. Right. I tell everybody, even my employees that had started their own businesses, you got to be okay with taking losses.
Right.
Every day you're gonna take losses. The thing is, your wins have to outweigh your losses, right? And if your wins don't outweigh your losses, then you got to
reevaluate, right?
Exactly.
So I just had like some interview yesterday. Somebody was like, "What would you recommend for somebody who's like starting something or whatever?" And for me, kind of to what like we were just saying, relative to that, you're like you take losses sometimes or whatever. But it's like one thing that I mentioned was you got to learn how to trust people too. You know, like putting your guard down is a big one when you're trying to grow something, because like if you stay with your guard up the whole time, then you're gonna lose on like some doors opening. Like for me, like has that been a case for you when you're like, I'm going to start something and, well, I'm taking your word for it, bro, like in a contract or some kind of handshake and deal, whatever, like, and it turns out that because you trusted that person, something good came out of it. Obviously, you get stabbed in the back all the time, but like, has that been a situation for you?
Oh,
You don't have to think of one off the top of your head, but like, I can vaguely think of situations where like, oh, I trusted this guy and shit, like it went well for me. You know?
Right. Honestly, any situation that could happen is gonna happen.
Right.
Right. There's gonna be days where you're like, I'm gonna make a killing on this, and then you lose money.
Right.
And there's days like, oh, I'm probably, over my head, and then you make money. Right.
Yeah.
Or like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to companies. I'm like, it's a long shot. It's a long shot. I'm gonna try it. And then they call me back, and I'm like, oh shit, like it actually worked, right? Like the bigger contracts that my business partner landed with, like, hotels.
Yeah.
And I tell you, these, like, he would go out there for a week and make a bunch of money, right? We would go out there for a weekend. And I mean, they take longer to pay. Those bigger jobs, it's like they take 2 months to pay you, right? But at the end of the day, you already did the work. You paid your guys. I mean, we would pay them good, pay them full week for a couple of days on the weekend. And then in 2 months, you get your check. And sometimes I tell you, you're just like, damn, I just got 20 G's for a weekend, and we weren't even thinking of going and talking to these people.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm saying it's
that initiative too.
But you miss every shot you don't take.
Exactly.
Right. That's the way I see it. Like, and you're gonna miss some shots, but at the end of the day, if you make some important shots, like you'll be good. And it's like everything. Everything's a risk. Going to Dallas is a risk.
Yeah.
Right. I went out there and it's been a fucking headache. Like, first of all, because I don't know what it was like to work anymore.
right. Like you were your boss and you're like, okay, just overseeing things, right?
Right. Yeah. And I tell you, at the end, it was like one of my best friends. It was Ruben and my brother. Yeah. Right. And like 3 guys I could trust. Right. 3 guys I could trust. And I was out here like, I mean, when I found my bike, broke my fucking shoulder or whatever happened to it, they'd be like, nah, go chill. Like, just drop out the material, go chill.
Right.
I mean, they're good employees like that, right? So
got used to it.
I was a little used to it, right? And whenever I went to Dallas, I went in there real hot shit. Like, I've been doing this forever. I remember the first house I got, I was like, this fucking sucks.
Bro,
this fucking sucks. Yeah, I was sweating like a motherfucker because it's humid out there.
Oh, yeah. Like, everything changed, bro, right?
Yeah, it's humid. Like,
you thought you knew.
And now it's hot here, but like, and it's only the first summer. Like, now I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Now I'm already used to humidity, it's whatever. But the first fucking summer, I tell you, I would like take breaks every 30 minutes because my heart rate would be like 180.
Damn, geez.
Yeah, and I'm just like sitting there. I'm not even doing shit, It was just hot. I wasn't used to it. I was working with a bad shoulder, like, but it's a risk, you know? And that's when I really realized, like, I was working all week, right? Think about it. Sometimes you would make, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Sometimes you'd have $1,000, but I'd be working all fucking week. And I would make like $1,100.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I could just go work somewhere for this money.
Right.
Like it wasn't even worth it. I was kind of down. My brother was like, hey, you got to find something different to do. And I did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up like on Angie's List. You hear Angie's List?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck it. I just read the reviews. The reviews, they were all shit. This shit sucks.
Yeah.
But I thought, I was like, maybe it's just the people it didn't work for writing the reviews.
Yeah.
Right? And it took a chance again. And I pay like $500 a month, but on Angie's List, it's like it pays me back so much more.
Right.
Like
it's a worth the investment.
It's worth
and trusting like you're like yourself is like fucking I'm gonna do it.
Right. And it might be because of like at the end of the day, like I was real big on like, hey, leave me a review.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you need? I'll do exactly what you want. Right. I had to prove myself again. Right. In a new city that nobody knows me, and now it's like, hey, we saw your reviews. Yeah, we want to get you.
Right.
And that's like, it's been a big help, And the big thing I got out there too, which I wasn't expecting, and people are like, you're charging too little.
Oh, shit. Yeah. It's crazy to hear that all the time because like you feel like you're this good and like it's hard to like value yourself. And that's another thing that I get a lot. Sorry that I pause you, but there's a lot of like questions that I always get all the time. Hey, man, how much should I charge? How much do you charge? And I always tell them, well, how much do you think you're worth? And that's like a thing for you to like self-reflect. Like, how do you even decide like how much you're worth realistically? Like, it's tough because I haven't been in the same situation.
Right. Yeah. It is tough. And like for me, it was really, I mean, I was going off of El Paso prices at first.
Okay.
Which is like nothing compared to out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because honestly, there's so many, it's so saturated with like construction workers, barbers, hairstylists, nurses.
It's massive.
It's all the same. People do the same shit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's so saturated where like, if I go and give a bid, somebody's Theo is going to give a bid for half the price. It's like, but out there, it's a lot more like,
it's more niche.
Yeah. People respect it a lot more. Like, hey, we see your work, we see your reviews. Like, we want you to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And I would go and charge prices, and they would turn me down because my prices were
They were like, they were just, it's too good to be true.
Yeah, it was too good
This
to
guy
be
probably
true.
sucks.
Exactly. And I couldn't believe it, right? So then I started charging double. And I was like, okay, this is a stretch, right?
Yeah.
But it's because the thing is, I grew up in the market here. So when I knew what my boss charged, I knew what my buddies charged. It wasn't like I was new to it here, but out there, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
So I charged double, it was still not enough. I charged triple, and people are like, oh, okay. You know, right now I'm charging 5 times what I charge here. And it's crazy because I'm making more money out there some weeks than I ever made here by myself. No employees, no overhead. I mean, I work 3 days out of the week, and I just show the other fucking 4, you know? And I make sometimes more money than I used to make here. The only thing is not consistent yet.
Right.
Because I don't have my clientele. Right. Once I get my clientele, then it'll be a lot better.
Right.
But it's I'm not gonna say it wasn't a struggle though. The first year I was like, damn, should I moved out here? The first year was like, what if I just go back?
Yeah.
And I sold my house. Like, what the fuck am I gonna go back to? You know?
It's like you just double down and like,
Right.
it's gonna have to work. You know, it's no plan B makes plan A work, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, it really is that way. It really is that way, and it's just like you just dig your fucking heels in, and okay, what's next?
Right.
What's next? And you get shot down somewhere, go to another place. You get burned over here, you go to another place. I mean, it's just all about taking risks.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people are not comfortable with.
Right. And speaking of comfort, like, how do you decide, like, because I'm a big person of like sticking to my routine. Like, I hardly hate, like, I hardly like changing my, like, the gym that I'll go to or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And like, you're over here like, oh yeah, like this car, you want it? How much? You know, like how much you want for it? Or like just getting rid of anything, like my camera, I don't give it. Like just like you said, nothing's for sale, but everything's got a price on it.
Got a price. So
yeah, so it's like,
I'll sell all my shit.
Yeah, how do you get so comfortable with just like, just switching things around so quickly? Because I'm a fan of that. I don't know how to do it because I get so like caught up in like being the same.
Think about it. If you were to sell this, can you get another one?
Easy, yeah.
Easy.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
Maybe not easy, but eventually.
Right, yeah. It's like, but I'm saying like, if you were to sell this for what you bought it for, can you get another one today?
Yeah.
This is easy.
Yeah.
Right? Just buy another one.
Right.
It's not the last 250Z in the world.
Right.
It's not the last camera. It's not the last. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But for me, a big thing is like, and I joke about it, but I say I'm not comfortable unless I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
Because if you're comfortable, that means you're not doing shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just doing the same shit.
Now you're just like cool and like you're insanity. You're just doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, it's the same shit over and over. And for me, it's like, I just never been okay. I got like ADHD. I got something.
Yeah, clearly.
I'm jittery all the time, you know? I'm like, so there's always been something that like I can't stand still. It's not, or if, and then that's a hard part too, right? Because that's what I was talking to my brother about today. It's like, I came from this place where like you don't have shit, right? You don't have shit. We're living in a house that doesn't have drywall. It's all studs, you know, like the outside's done, but the inside's just studs. And then now it's like living in like this, you know, big house, brand new truck.
Right.
You know, I got the Corvette in the garage. You know, it's like, where am I okay with where I'm at without being okay with where I'm at?
Yeah.
Right. Like, how am I grateful for what I have without thinking it's good enough? And it's a fight. And it's a fight. I tell you, it's like, I'm pretty sure every business owner has it, you know? He probably has it. That's why he opened up another location.
Exactly.
Right? It's that itch, and it's not, it doesn't make sense until you have it. Right. And that's why, like with you, I tell you, like when you're like, I want to do something, like do a show. What's the worst that can happen? They tell you no.
Right.
Or you look into it and then you don't do it. You know, and then look how Stand Small turned out.
Yeah, and it's like, I never even considered like giving it a shot because like I'm like, oh, there's like a monopoly here or something like that. And it's like, no, fuck no, there isn't. And like clearly was proven that it wasn't, you know?
Right. It's just people.
Right.
It's just people. You go and talk to the managers at the Sun, they're just people.
Yeah.
They might make more than you. They might own the fucking mall, but they're just people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, if I make more money than you, you make more money than me, we're still people. At the end of the day, we still be friends. Right. And that's the way I see it. People are too intimidated by people.
Right.
Right. It's like, go shake some fucking hands.
Exactly.
You know, go put yourself out there. It's embarrassing, you know, but clean yourself up a little
bit.
Right.
And then speaking of that, like when it comes to embarrassing, one of the things about me is that I realize like people don't remember your embarrassing moments. You remember yours.
Yeah.
But it's like, can you think of one of somebody else? Like, sure, you can think of a buddy that fell or whatever.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's funny.
Always...
But it's like, just go do it. You know, like if it's embarrassing, like jumping in front of this camera or people are like, oh, I don't like to be in the camera. Like, right, bro. Like nobody's going to remember that you're, you know, like, how did you decide to like feel like you're not going to be embarrassed? Like you're not going to, how do you approach these people? Like when you're,
I get fucking anxious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
I get anxious. It's not that I don't feel anxious or I don't feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I just think of like, it goes back to the same thing. Like, what's the risk to reward? Right? Like,
you outweigh it and you're like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I tell you, the first time I went to go do whenever I first landed the first contract, they want to have an interview with me. When I was bugging, like, you know what, come on Thursday, we'll talk to you. And I was like, all right, like, let me go and see what this is about. And I was anxious as fuck. Like, I was like,
shitting water.
yeah, I'm all sweaty. You know, my palms are all sweaty. Like, it's a life-changing moment, right? It really was for me. I mean, I'm this 24-year-old. I say kid now because I'm older, right? But I'm this 24-year-old kid. Like, I got a lot at stake. I haven't worked in a month. You know, bills are due.
Yeah.
My rent's still, they didn't wait for me. You know, it's still due. And it's like, I have no choice but to go.
Yeah.
Right? Even if I'm anxious or nervous or whatever it is, like, I have to fucking go. That's the way I see it. And it's like, I get embarrassed. You know, I'm not as much anymore because I'm a grown-ass man now, right? But it is one of those things where, like, if you have an ego, you kind of got to let it go. You know, you got to let it go. And it's weird because, like, as soon as you let it go, it's just life's more comfortable.
Right.
Where you don't care what people fucking think about how the way you look, the way you dress, the way you act. Like, it's so much easier.
Right.
You know, as long as your family, you know, your friends are cool with you, like, that's all that matters.
Right.
Right. And that's like, in Dallas, I stick out like crazy. It's a bunch of, you know, normal looking people.
Oh,
Right?
really?
Yeah.
Without saying any particular place.
Educated people.
Yeah,
you know, their kids are in college and they're like these businessmen, you know, and then like I'm here in my fucking shorts, you know, like
All tatted.
yeah, and it's like another thing you would expect, like, oh, this guy can be, you know, like he can be what's the word for, like,
He doesn't seem
professional.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
can present himself.
Right.
But I mean, I put some nice pants on, I long sleeve shirt. I don't got no face tattoos on the same reason, right? And I just go dressed up. I look good, cut my hair, clean up my beard, you know, just look clean, presentable. I mean, nobody's a fucking supermodel, right? Nobody's gonna be like the most handsome person, the most pretty girl. But
Unless you're Ryan Reynolds, and what year was it? He was the sexiest man.
he's probably still, yeah.
Hey, yo.
Anyway.
But at the end, yeah, it's like you're never gonna be the most handsome fucking person,
Right.
but like if you try, you know what I mean? People see that effort. Right, you show up and like I say, you cut your hair, you got, you know, cologne on, you got nice shirt, button up. Like, all right, this guy came to fucking make an impression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I tell you, first impressions are everything.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, like it's the most important thing because at the end of the day, and like I tell you, whenever we started filming, I remember we were at the Dilit thing.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And that's honestly the day I was like, nah, this shit ain't for me. Bro, because I was like, I have this Ronin M with like a Sony, you know, mirrorless full frame. And like, I'm this fucking guy's here with his Canon.
Talking about all my shit, bro.
And I'm like, and he's putting out better shit than me.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not for me. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when I was like, I'm still doing it for fun.
Don't get me wrong, bro. I remember that shit. I was like, damn, this fool's got this whole fucking setup, and I'm over here with this little shit. And it was like the opposite. I'm like, damn, there's no way I can top that shit because he's over here with his whole fucking badass setup. And that was like going back to the whole embarrassing thing because I'm like, I'm over here all shy with my shit, and you got all your shit, but like we're both thinking negatively about ourselves, looking at each other.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And but that's what I'm saying though. Like, imagine you seen me, you would have quit.
Yeah, probably.
That would have sucked.
No, and like honestly, that could have for anybody else. Like, I don't want to say weak-minded, but anybody else with a weaker mentality would have been like, "Oh, I'm not gonna shoot because this guy has a better camera.
Yeah.
That's a little embarrassing. I don't give a fuck." You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the ego thing.
Right.
You need to have that ego death of like. Don't get me wrong. Everybody gets embarrassed sometimes. Right? There's still some shit that you're like, "Oh, I fucking busted my ass.
Yeah.
Everybody saw me. That's embarrassing."
Right.
But like, as far as like, this guy's walking down the street, what's he gonna think of me? Like, let it go. Yeah, let it go. Do your thing. Do whatever makes you feel like you'll get to the next level. Whatever makes you fucking happy. Like, whatever it is. That's what I think is the biggest factor for everybody. It's like, imagine being embarrassed to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's awkward as fuck talking in front of a camera.
Right.
It's awkward. It's with this shit in your face. It is awkward, right? But it's also like,
I'm trying it.
Yeah. Why not try it?
Right.
And that's the big thing for me is like, if it doesn't work, then what? Go back to what you do.
Yeah, and then we'll post it, and then all these people will see it. And
Yeah, I mean, people are always gonna talk shit though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We talk shit all the time.
You can't make anybody happy. So,
But that's what I'm saying. It's not really about like what everybody thinks. It's about what you want.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
about what you want. And again, like with you have more like that artistic skill. I don't have that shit, right? Like I see videos. I'm like, I could replicate that.
You're very hands on with like the technical aspect of everything.
Right,
Applying
exactly.
it and replicating it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Like, you put something in front of me, whether it's drawing, whether it's something in construction, like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Right.
But let me have that to scale it, right?
Right.
I don't have that creativity how you guys have. And that's what's gotten you guys this far,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I could never do this shit. I would have never thought of this.
Right.
I wouldn't. But then I got my own strengths, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to play to your strengths. And that's what I'm saying. You might never own a construction company,
Yeah, fuck no.
right? But at the end of the day, if this shit can make you something, your videos, the shows, the
Right.
merch, all that shit is stick to your game.
Yeah.
But also don't be afraid to expand in that either, right? Like,
Right. And that's been like a big injection from your influence, bro. Cause like that's what got me to break the mold. As like thinking like, I don't think I can do a show. I don't think I can do it. And you're like, bro, there's enough like bread for everybody to eat.
Yeah,
You know? And
so
I'm
it's
just like, oh, and then little by little, it's just all I needed was a little like, there's enough. Like
that's just that.
you know,
That's but I just plant that seed.
exactly.
You know, yeah,
And
I just
like,
plant that seed.
but it's also up to the person who you planted in whether they're gonna do anything with it. You know, and like, because I've done that plenty of times, and like, I'm unlike you. I don't think I could see like the potential of people. Sometimes like there is I can, but like I try to help everybody, and like then I just turned into feeling like I'm wasting my time when I realized they didn't do nothing with that info or nothing with whatever that point them in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I had to stop doing that too. I'm not gonna lie. It's just a waste of time,
Yeah.
right? Because at the end of the day, I see the best version of you. I see the best version of him. The best version of everybody.
Anybody? Yeah.
Right. That's the thing I see as the best version of everybody. The problem is not everybody wants to put that work in. Not everybody's
Exactly.
willing to take the risk to be embarrassed.
You can't help them unless they want to be
Yeah.
helped, right? Like,
Yeah, so that's the way I see it. If I see initiative and I'm like, all right, and they're asking me for advice, I don't even give it without people asking for it anymore, right?
Right.
I don't do that anymore. But if it's like they're asking me for advice, don't get me wrong, I'm not the most successful person, right? I've done a lot in my life, and it's been like highs and the fucking lows,
Right.
and it's always
But regardless, like you know what it's like on both ends, right?
Right,
Like, that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like,
yeah, exactly.
plenty enough for you to have like under your belt to say like, well, I can tell you this, you know?
Right, yeah, and it's at the end of the day, like whether it's at the low point, it's weird. It's like your mind's already used to it, so you know it's gonna come back up,
Mhm.
right? You're not worried about it coming back up. You're like, okay, maybe next month, or maybe the month after that, right? It's not about like, is this possible to come back? It's like, okay, when is it gonna come back?
Yeah.
But it might just be like faith in myself, you know, or confidence. Like I said, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. Like half the time, people are like, "How do you do it?" Like I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You know, I just give it. I try to speak my feelings as much as possible, but there's no blueprint for it.
Yeah.
What worked for me probably didn't work for Golden Vapor.
Exactly.
Right? What works for him probably won't work for me. Like it's you got to stick to what was working,
Mhm.
right? But also, like I say, if you're gonna really grow what you're doing, which it already has like 20 something thousand followers, right? Your page was
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's like, what stops you from buying your own printer, DTF printer?
Right.
What stops you from buying all this shit? Like, yeah, of course, money. Right?
Mhm.
I'm not saying that everybody has the fucking money to do it,
Capital.
but you'll find it. You'll find it if you push hard enough on videos and merch. You'll buy one.
Yeah.
It's just about how bad do you fucking want it, right? And that's what I think separates the people that were me, like from the fucking moment the sun came up to this moment it went down, right? It's 16, 17 hours, 18 hours a day.
And it's all consistency. Like,
Right.
well, because now what it sounded like, it sounded like consistency. And I get a lot of people like, damn, dude, how do you keep coming up with all this shit? I was like, I just haven't stopped, dude.
I mean, I fucking called the other day because I was like, I bought the MacBook and I bought the printer, and I was like, I'm missing the most important part. That's the graphic design shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the fuck? And I'm like calling for advice. And it's also like, you tell me like, oh, you see me as a mentor, but I'm calling you for advice.
Yeah.
That's something I'm not too proud. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not too proud to think like, oh, well, fucking, I
Yeah.
can't ask him for advice. Like, you're good at it. I'm gonna ask for that advice. But that's again,
And that's like you said, ego death. It's like, I'm willing to tell me, bro. Like, I'm willing to learn, right? Like, yeah.
fuck. Like, yeah. And then I did this thing. You say the Canva, like, use what was that shit called? Where the templates, right? Where it's like, use a template and then you see like a design you
Oh,
like.
yeah. Just to kind of like rip off the design, like an
Yeah.
idea from a that already exists.
Well,
Like,
I've already made like 10 designs just from that one. that one
not sponsored by Canva or
thing.
Angie's List. Just
Yeah,
saying.
no, none of that. But that same shit, like I say, it's like, for me not having an ego and asking,
Yeah.
I learned just one. That's one tip you gave me, and it already changed the game for me
Right.
with the DTX thing,
Mhm.
or with the rap. And that's, I don't know. It's just, again, it's just, you just got to go out there and fucking try.
Right.
Yeah, and again, like I say, everybody that's been in business there's lucky people that just fucking skyrocket, and there's people that have had their ups and downs.
Or the people that get a loan of $1 million. Trump.
Yeah, that's just harder than you think. Everybody's like, get the LLC.
Yeah, no.
Nah, that shit don't work like that.
Yeah.
They're gonna run your credit. They're gonna
Uh-huh.
ask you for a bunch of shit. Can you pay it back? What's your bank statements look like?
Yeah.
But it's really like, at the end of the day, I started my company with like $1,200.
Yeah.
Right? I had a beat up ass work van that my dad gave me, and $1,200. Something that he took to the oil fields when he was working in the oil fields, and was like, I'm gonna make it work, and it fucking worked.
Yeah.
Right. And I tell you right now, we live a better life because of it. Yeah, it's going to Dallas was starting from scratch again. And I'm fine with it though, because I'll figure it out. Right. Again, it's that confidence. That delusion that I'm like, all right, a whole other city. I don't know anybody. I don't know any builders. I don't have any employees. I just went out there, got a truck, and I was like, all right, let's make this shit happen. And it was hard, and it's still hard. But at the end of the day, right now, it's like where it's what I was hoping for when I moved out there. Like, get a little bit of clientele, get some traction. Now, again, like I say, there's weeks where I'm like, oh fuck, this is great.
Yeah.
And then I don't work for 2 weeks. Yeah. Like, fuck, And then that week has to carry the next 2 weeks. And it's all risk.
Yeah.
It's all risk, and it's just how bad you want it.
Yeah, and it's always hard. You just get better.
Yeah.
Because again, you just keep at it.
And better aside, it's like people are like, how you so disciplined? I'm like, bro, I'm not. I'm not. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be there either. But I got to be there because I know like I have this goal, and if I'm not there, then it's not happening.
And it eats you, like it eats your life too. It's like I have a lot of stupid ass quotes that I can make to myself. Like
don't do them.
One that says, the one that I thought to myself is like, your mind will eat you alive if you don't strive. It's like, because it does, like really when I don't meet like a particular goal that I set to myself, it's like, fuck, dude, like I know I could have done it. Why didn't I do it? The same thing, like kind of like a lack of discipline, but like
right. And that's something like that you say too. I heard some shit the other day where people were talking about. They're saying like your mind is designed to like have challenges.
Right.
I mean, right, like we've only been comfortable for like a couple hundred years, right? And they're saying that's why people have so much fucking anxiety now because they don't do none of that.
Right.
Like everybody's just, don't get me wrong, it's comfortable in here. Yeah. My truck is fucking comfortable. I just hop in and drive across fucking Texas and it's comfortable. But like your mind's not designed for that. So like I think when you kind of get that ball rolling of like I'm stressed, I'm a little anxious, I'm nervous, I got to make these moves. It kind of just keeps going. It builds by itself. Right. It's strange to think that like, I tell everybody like it's just kind of like the universe. That's how it works, right? If you're going for it, it's gonna work. If you're not, then it's not. Right. It's only a matter of times. Like I say, 9 out of 10 shots you're gonna miss, and that one shot that counts is the one could change your life. Right. Right. And it's like right now with the Stand Small, like I know it was like a small show. The first one, it was pretty big, I think. Right. But it was in like this crazy spring fest. Right. Right. But it's only a matter of time till it becomes that. So it becomes like, oh, we took this shit to Dallas, and then we went to Houston, and then we went to
keep at it.
Yeah, and if you would have never took that chance on hitting up the mall people, but you get me and you were like, what's the odds? Yeah, they're gonna say we were talking about it, and you're like, I have a meeting with them, like an actual sit down meeting.
And like I never thought that would have been the case. Like, oh shit, we shot and fucking landed. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it was don't get me wrong, I've never put in so many steps in my life.
I had 21,000 that day.
Yeah, I'm saying I had like 25. But I mean, we got there early. We stayed fucking late.
And we were the last ones to leave. Yeah. First one's in, the last one's on.
Yeah, and it's saying it's not like it wasn't fun, right? It was like enjoyable because you see everything coming together, but it probably went better as a spectator.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's like did what needed to be done for it to be good. Right. And it's just the way it works.
And like it's interesting that you say that the first impressions are like very important. Like I don't remember you actually having to tell me that, but like I already knew like the back of my head that I wanted to give them a good impression, a good taste in their mouth, because now they're the ones calling me, asking me like, hey, what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying?
Right, so I remember that day they were like, oh man, when's the next one?
Exactly. Right.
Again, it shows like, but again, because real professional, on time, everybody was real respectful, right? And
on their game. Like shout out to everybody who was like helping us out, man. Like all the staff, It
was a lot. I remember, and since the first one, it was confusing. Right? We got there and we're like, what the fuck do we do? How do we park these cars? People didn't show up, and I'm like, fuck, man, this is gonna be tough. Me and Ivan were running around back and forth. Walkie talkies and just like let's figure it out, right? People snuck in.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch it. I didn't get him. What the fuck is this guy doing here? Yeah, he's supposed to be outside, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's again like it wasn't the best, but the next one will be good.
And it wasn't the best, but it's definitely better than others. And like that's another one thing that I hold myself to is like it's everywhere. I'm gonna get you. It's arrogance is fine as long as you're admittedly greater. Is like, do you see yourself in a light where you're like, I'm better than somebody for sure, but like
I'm not.
Hold on, like, and the things that you do, like, like I'm better than this guy than in his work for what he does in like construction, whatever. But I know damn right there's somebody who's better than me.
Oh yeah,
like your place, right? Like you have to in this kind of line of business, in any kind of business, you have to know, right? Like
I know my worth,
Right,
You know,
right.
right now, it's like I had to relearn it because of a new city. Right? I had to learn how to charge
But
accordingly.
but even then, you kind of like, you know that like you're at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I know all this shit, and sure you got humbled a little bit, but like it's you have to know
There's always somebody better.
exactly.
Yeah,
Always.
there's always like I could be making $1 million a month, and there's always somebody better than me, right? It's just gonna be that way. Like and I don't even think there's like the one best person. There's probably a tie between like 100 people for the best.
Yeah.
Right.
Nah, dude, it's Jordan Foster.
It's Ryan Reynolds, bro. It's Ryan Reynolds.
No, it's the guy that owns the locomotives,
Jordan
owns like all the
Foster,
buildings.
Go to Dallas, and David Weekly and these guys are big money, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like there's always somebody better, you know. And it's just it's just you stay in your lane, right? That's the way I see it. Like this is how good I am, and I'm gonna work with what I got.
Right.
Right. And I'm not like, I know I'm good. I'm really good. Right. I'm not like saying it in, again, like an arrogant way.
No, it's just you just know.
It's just years of
and
practice.
for a lot of people that it rubs them off the wrong way because it's like the whole like, oh, being so humble is like so like honorable, but like no, fuck no, like I know what the fuck I'm about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I can back my shit up, but I also know like there's one thing about being arrogant, and one thing about being ignorant,
Right.
and it's like
Ignorance
you can,
different.
yeah, like you can be arrogant, but you can't be ignorant. Like you can know exactly what like how good you are, but like if you're ignorant, like I am the best. Like what are you talking about? Like then that's an issue, right? Like
That's where you stop learning.
exactly,
Right. That's where you stop learning.
or even you just never even learned. Like you just. It's like you either handed to it or like it just fell in your lap type.
Bro,
thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's what'll fuck you up too, though. If somebody hands you something, you take it for granted.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big problem.
100%.
But at the end of the day, like you gotta be confident enough to want to approach a situation like I could do this
Mm-hmm.
and not be ignorant, like you say, because you stop learning. Once you're like, I know everything. I mean, I know guys that they were telling me when I first started, like, I've been doing this 20 years. I'm like, yeah, you've been doing it wrong 20 years. You know, since I don't give a fuck how long you've been doing it. It's been wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the way I see it. And I tell all the time, I specifically, and I tell all my guys this, I like to watch lazy people work. And I like to watch the people who have never done it before work.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people who have never done it before, they're going to find a way to do it with certain tools, certain whatever. I might learn something from them. And the lazy people find the easiest way to do shit.
So you just get both best of both worlds.
So I've learned so much shit from people that don't know
Right.
anything about my job.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You have to be not like ignorant of like you say, I'm the fucking best. Nobody could teach me shit.
Right. But open-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open-minded of like, there might be some guy that's never done this before and he picks up a tool and does something that I'm like, oh shit, I've never thought of it that way, but it makes sense. Right. I watch people all the time. And again, it could be anybody. It's not like in anything, the rap shit. Like I stay looking at videos on rap, you know, I stay looking at videos of what I do, the construction stuff. And it's always something new. I be writing shit down and I try to apply it. If it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for me. But again, it's like, what if it would have?
Mhm.
And that's why I tell people, like, if anybody's trying to start something, my biggest thing has always been the what ifs, right? Like
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I think of myself like, what if, like, it would kill me if I was 45 and I never started my business and I say, what if I would have tried it,
Yeah.
right?
That haunts you, bro. That
Yeah,
fucking haunts you.
It'll eat me alive.
Exactly.
It does sometimes when there's little shit that I should have done, right?
Mhm.
And that's why I tell people, like, if you have it, do it. Like, you have that idea, just do it. If it doesn't work, it didn't work. Go back to your fucking job.
Yeah, and like that's a big thing. Even though like obviously like I'm not in the whole big money business or whatever, you know, but there's been times like we do a couple things like, oh, it flopped, and I'm not ashamed to say like, hey, what happened? Like, nobody showed up. I was like, no, nobody showed up. Like
Yeah.
it happens, but at least I know not to do that, you know. And
Yeah.
but I can go with the peace of mind saying like I tried it, because then what if I'm like, what if I would have done it? You know,
Right.
yeah.
But you know what? One piece of advice, I would say try it a couple of times. If it doesn't cost you anything, try it a couple of times.
Right.
Because you never know. Maybe the people that didn't go thought it was gonna.
Yeah, you see, I didn't think of it that way.
You know what I mean? That's so like if I'm gonna go and spend $10,000 on something, I probably not might do it again if it flops. You know, but if you host a meet,
Right.
nobody showed up, try one more time.
What can you change?
Yeah.
Learn from that.
Yeah. Did I post it on the wrong day? Did I just try it again? If it doesn't cost you shit, just try it again.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's again, it's like I think that'd be my keys of like starting anything is just the what ifs and just don't be fucking scared. It's I know it sounds easier said than done, but like if you're gonna be scared, do it scared.
Yeah, because at that point you feel like, I think the fear, it creates that sense of like it can work.
Right, yeah.
Because if you're not afraid, then you just know like if it doesn't work, then I got nothing to lose, I guess, or whatever. But I don't know. It's just I think fear is really interesting when it comes to taking risks because it's part of it. Because then you're not really taking a risk.
You're not. Yeah.
You know, because like I've had homies who are like, "Oh, do this, do that," and I'm like, "Bro, it's easier for you to say because you got something to land on." You know, like
Yeah.
tell me this shit when you don't have something to land on.
Yeah, that's the thing too, and I think that's the biggest thing is like when you don't have shit to land on, you have to make it work.
Right.
Right, you have to make it work. Whether it's again, if you took, 5 losses today, but you took 10 wins, you're still making it work. It might not be as efficient as it can be, but it's still gonna work.
Right.
Right, and that's the way I see it. Is like then you get more efficient at it. I tell you, like, bro, I've only been rapping for like a year and a half, if anything. Yeah, right. So it's like, and I tell you, sometimes I still get nervous too. Like I know I'm good.
Taking a Ferrari apart.
Well, the guy that I'm working with just called me, said they want to do a McLaren. Fuck. And I'm like, fuck. And he's like, can you do it? I was like, fuck yeah. Can I do it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can. But I'm gonna be nervous when I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be.
but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, exactly. Am I gonna break some shit? The guy says he has insurance. If I break it, then it breaks, right? That's the one thing again about the overhead. It's so much more convenient when you don't have it to worry about.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day,
And at that point, are you even learning?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
like.
And for me, it's like this guy. I mean, he's an older guy, right? He's like 50, but he has like an auction license. He buys and flips cars, right?
Yeah.
And then he has a shop, and he wants to do like a performance shop. And I was like, bro, I've done that my whole life.
Yeah.
Right. Like I could help you out with all this shit, right? And again, is it going to be intimidating? Yeah, probably. Right. Am I going to be a little nervous about it when the McLaren comes in? Yeah, probably. But at the end, am I going to try it? Yeah. It's the worst that could happen. I fuck it up and then I paid $700 for the wrap. Like, all right, I take my loss.
Yeah.
And then I try it again.
Yeah. And now you know not what to do.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, it's like, what takeaways can I get from this guy? He's going to learn me how to fucking buy cars from auction.
Yeah.
He's going to show me how to run my own shop. Because I went in there telling him, like, I'm not going to work here forever. I just want some more experience in my belt. Like, how do you rent this shit? What does it cost you? What is, what are you paying electricity, water? And he's willing to help me out.
Yeah.
So, like, again, you just try to get it where you can, whether it's from somebody who knows more than you, somebody who knows less. And there's a lot more wins I could take, even though, yeah, I'm fucking nervous about going and doing it. The pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just the way with everything. Again, just the wins got to outweigh the losses, and just get used to the fucking losses because they're
always going to be there.
Every day. Every day. There hasn't been a day where I don't take a loss. Whether it be something minimal, like, fuck, I lost this hammer.
Yeah.
Or
I tripped.
or like, oh damn, my employee just ruined $1,000 shower.
Yeah.
It's like he's taking on the chin. Yeah, taking on the chin. It happens more than you think.
Yeah.
But again, it's like when you're bringing in $10,000, it's like 1,000 won't kill you, but it's not nice.
Right.
It doesn't feel good to be like, fuck, it's $1,000 I could have put in my account.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then that's the thing is like just make sure that the wins outweigh the losses. And I think I see you taking more risk, and it's good to see, because it's always been like a little bit of like, nah, I'm cool with this job.
Right.
At TikTok, when was it? TikTok?
Yeah.
Graveyard and all that, and it's like from that to like, hey, we just hosted a show. It's like you're
and it's crazy because like it was almost like the universe forced me to, because like the whole time we're talking about it, right? Like, and I'm not sure, I'm superstitious sometimes, but like that just like happened. It was like you're gonna fucking. You got fired? Because I wasn't doing much Bengeki stuff when that shit happened. You just, boom, I got booted and I had to.
Right.
And from that point on, it's been like crazy growth, bro. Crazy growth. And I even joke around. I'm like, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm not even going to lie, bro. Sometimes like I don't.
It might have been, yeah.
Like there's a lot of times that I don't meet certain like, damn, like I got paid rent or whatever. But I'm enjoying the fuck of what I'm doing, bro. Like even if I make $20 on a shirt, $40 on a shirt, like I'm just fucking enjoying the hell out of it. And like now everything's grown. And like that's steering into direction with like the relationship with Golden. Like this happened because of the fact that we created a bigger presence, and then Jonathan was like, "Hey, I want to work with you guys," and so on and so forth. But
you know what? And just to finish off your point there, it's like I told you earlier. Sometimes when you don't chase the money comes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like right now, you're chasing like the passion of like
exactly.
I want to do this show. I want to host this. I want to do this, and sooner or later, the money's gonna come. And that's what I tell you. That's my big thing of like what happened in my construction, right? The rap and everything, I chased it for a little bit because, I mean, it was a little nervous. I was a little nervous being out there. But at the end of the day, like, I kind of reeled myself back in and be like, you know what? I'm going to chase the skill, the knowledge, and then the money will come. And it seems like it's starting to take off, right?
Right.
And for you, it's that you're doing the exact same thing. You're chasing, like, what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And then sooner or later, that $40 shirt might turn into $100 in a week. And then that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
Right? And it's good you're not chasing it, though, but sooner or later is gonna end up there.
Yeah.
And that's again, like, that's the most important part, because
Mhm.
when you're doing what you're doing, you're always gonna get better at what you're doing, and
Yeah.
then you're gonna outshine everybody else.
Right.
Again, it's kind of how you always have, right? It's the same thing. I tell you, like, you guys are good at what you do, right? Being here, seeing this shit, it's like, it's impressive. I know
Right.
we talked about it, and it was like, oh, you're gonna do a podcast.
And that's the thing. It's like we always mention it somehow when we're there, like comes to light because we're not fucking around when like you mentioned the idea, you know?
Right, yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I think you said the other day about sometimes you like kind of talk before you do shit.
Yeah.
That's fine too though.
Yeah.
Because it kind of holds you accountable to do it.
Right.
Right? If you just tell yourself like, oh, I want to do this, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
And oh, you told
You already
that,
you loudmouth, now you gotta fucking
you tell
prove it.
Yeah, you told your brother like, hey, you know what? I want to do a show. I'll fucking prove it, you know?
Yeah.
And then ended up being a good thing. But
Right.
again, it's just like, say it out loud, make it fucking happen.
Yeah.
And it's gonna, again, sometimes it's not gonna go your way, and that's fine.
Right.
Right. And I guess that's like the biggest thing, is just keep fucking just pushing it.
Yeah. So just for closing out, 3 of the biggest things that you would say this is important to not fucking drown in, whether it's starting a business or just having a business. What are just 3 really important things?
I think don't be too ambitious. Don't be too like, everybody wants to go and buy the brand new F350,
Right.
you know, and it'll fuck you up.
Right.
You know, everybody wants to have the 10 employees. It's not all that great,
Mhm.
right? Start off with yourself, with just whatever truck you can find on Marketplace, you know, a couple of grand, just to get you to a job site and back. And then again, like, when you don't have $1,000 truck payment, that's $1,000 you can put back into your business.
Right.
And then that's almost the helper's whole month's salary,
Mhm.
right? That's the way I see it. What would be number 2?
To not sink or keep afloat or start.
Just don't try to be the boss, right? Like, don't try to be, hey, I just started my business, I'm gonna hire 10 guys, I'm just gonna watch you from a distance.
Yeah. You got to be involved.
Yeah, you got to be involved, because again, it's like, people respect more of a leader than a boss,
Right.
right? And they see
Like,
you doing it.
as one of them.
Yeah, exactly. And my guys have always, like, they've seen me. If we're working, we're putting in the fucking time.
Right.
You know, like, we're putting in the time. You're not putting out work. We're doing it together.
Yeah. Like that video is like when your boss tells you like, when he's using we and us on the job of doing myself. He's like,
Yeah, no, that's the big thing. And then I think also try to pay your guys good. you
third.
know?
That's third.
Yeah, that's the third one.
Cool.
Yeah, take care of your people.
Value them.
Yeah, because you don't want to like spoil them. You don't want to spoil them where like you're paying them too much, but you want to make it to where like they're being compensated for their efforts.
Yeah.
Right? You're still gonna have those people, and that's probably number 4. Cut out the bad people quick.
Cool.
Right?
Yeah. I need to hear that one.
Yeah, cut out the bad people quick. Yeah, the cancers, you gotta cut that shit out.
Yeah.
Because it's like they like,
Suck up the life.
yeah, they start mouthing off.
Right.
You know, and like, hey, can you believe this guy didn't even come into work today?
Jesus, yeah.
And that'll fuck up the perspective of, again, it's not like,
Bad apple.
not that everybody's weak-minded, but some people will fall for it.
Right.
You know, they'll be like, oh yeah, that motherfucker didn't show up today.
Easily influenced.
Yeah, not understanding that maybe you're out there looking for more work for next week,
Mhm.
right? They're not understanding that you're probably going picking up material for tomorrow. It's just those sour people you're never gonna make happy. You could pay them $1,000 a day and they're still gonna talk shit.
Yeah.
They're just miserable to begin with. So it's just, that's like the 4 ones.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, out of all the many ones, but I pretty much think that those are the ones that kind of linger in the top of your head.
Those are the ones that hurt me at first.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
The ones you like
Yeah.
made sure to master, right?
Not the ambitious one, because I was like really calm, but the other 3 were the ones. That's why I had to throw the 4th one in.
Okay.
there,
Yeah.
right?
That was the one that mattered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I started off with a busted truck.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah. I just feel the same way because like when I got the minivan, it's like I don't want to own a fucking car payment. To this day, I don't own a car payment because, dude, that's so much capital I could be using for the brand. You know,
Right.
like I could relate to that one. Like the taking care of the people, like I like to let them know that like I fuck with you and like I support you and whatever. So I kind of applied a bit of that. But the whole don't be too ambitious one, like I really, and cutting the cancers is a big one for me because a lot of times I can't catch on to that until it's too late. It's like, what the fuck? Because I
get
trust
good.
too much. You know what I'm saying?
You get good though. You get good. It's like, and I tell my people too, like, don't take the kindness for weakness, because it's not.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Like I'll talk nice to you, but if you start, you know, acting a fool, then we're gonna have a problem. And I'm not like, it doesn't hurt me to fire somebody. You know, it's hard at first because you feel a little bad. They talk the whole family shit. You know, my kid has to go to fucking ballet
But
practice.
yeah, but you didn't think of that when you're being a fucking lazy employee the whole time, you know?
When you're taking money out of my family's pocket,
Right.
why the fuck do I
They
gotta
don't see it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's again, just those people suck. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's big fucking
Yeah,
thing.
really fucking crazy insight, honestly. Like hearing 2 people that like, well, heard somebody else say it that way, like really puts it into perspective. But yeah, just wrapping it up. A whole lot of knowledge with just carrying a business, making sure you start and trying to stay afloat. All this shit.
Yeah.
Really important information. Definitely a lot of to absorb from taking from you from the first time I met you was like just knowledge. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like we
So-
gotta stick around. Like
It's
we
a
gotta-
lot of mistakes. Yeah, it's a lot of mistakes.
Right.
Taught me a lot of shit,
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people too, like if I could save people mistakes, I will.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not like I know everything. I tell you, it's ups and downs.
Yeah.
Right. It was like I was at my highest up and then I get to my lowest low.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like if I could help somebody from making those mistakes that I've made, why not?
Yeah. No. 100%. So yeah, basically that was Isaac, Trendsetter's Garage, Trendy, what is it, Trendsetter Tile and what? Just tile?
Yeah, Trendsetter Talent Stone. Yeah, I was
Trendsetter
like,
Tile
that's what I started with.
And DTX Auto Styling and Dallas, if anybody's got.
Follow that one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
we're
Oh, that's you?
Yeah, that's me, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a sponsorship with them as well last year with Stansmall. We'll be on talks to see if there's anything else going on this year.
What was
But
going on with that though?
yeah, I got some. I actually had a meeting today. Man, like I wish I could drop all this fucking info, but like it's still like being figured out. It's definitely happening. We just need to lock in some other information. But yeah,
Not too much. Not too much.
no, not so much. Same shit. I'm about to drop the info soon. But yeah, episode 3. Thank you for coming along after a whole 9-hour drive from Dallas in the same day.
That was fun.
Yeah. So
Different.
yeah, sure. So yeah, thanks, Golden Vapor, and that's it. Monday again.